and welcome to the headlines on the Thedailycourierng. Historic US-Russia peace talks signal potential end to Ukraine war. Russia has shown flexibility on certain positions. Ukraine President Zelensky has expressed strong opposition to any agreement. The exclusion of European leaders from the Riyadh talks prompted an emergency mini-summit in Paris. As traditional Western support appears to waver, Zelensky has embarked on a diplomatic tour of Middle Western nations. Historic US-Russia peace talks signal potential end to Ukraine war. In a dramatic diplomatic breakthrough, American and Russian officials met in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, marking what could be the beginning of the end to the nearly 3-year-long war in Ukraine. The high-level talks, which lasted over 4 hours, represents the first significant diplomatic engagement between the two powers since the conflict began. The key developments in the meeting held at Riyadh's Diriyah Palace brought together an unprecedented gathering of senior officials. The U.S. delegation included Secretary of State Mark Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. They met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and a presidential aide to Vladimir Putin, with Saudi officials meditating the discussions. The United States released a statement outlining 4 major points of consensus, which are establishment of a mechanism to address bilateral irritants, formation of dedicated terms to discuss Ukraine's territorial consensus and security guarantees, agreement on post-war cooperation in Ukraine, and also commitment to continued engagement and possible Putin-Trump summit. Russia shifting positions. In a significant development, Russia has shown flexibility on certain positions while maintaining opposition to Ukraine's NATO membership. Moscow has indicated willingness to accept Ukraine's potential EU membership.
This is the sovereign right of any country. We are talking about integration and economic integration processes. And here, of course, no one can dictate anything to any country, and we are not going to do so. We do have completely different approach, though, to questions related to security and links to military and security alliances.
This marks a notable shift in Russia's previous stance on Ukraine's Western integration. In Ukraine's response, Ukraine's President Zelensky has expressed strong opposition to any agreement made without Kyiv's participation. In his statement, Ukraine will not take part in the talks in Saudi Arabia. Ukraine regards any negotiation about Ukraine without Ukraine as one that have no result. And we cannot recognize any agreement about us made without us, Zelensky stated during his visit in Turkey. In European reaction and division, the exclusion of European leaders from the Riyadh talks prompted an emergency mini-summit in Paris, hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron. The meeting, attended by NATO Chief Mark Ruth, European Commission President Ula and EU Council President Antonio Costa, revealed deep divisions among European allies. 2 major issues dominated the Paris discussions. First, defense spending. While there is agreement on the need to increase military expenditure, European nations remain divided over raising NATO's 2% GDP requirement to 3%. Also, peacekeeping force. A British proposal to deploy peacekeepers to Ukraine was rejected by major European powers, with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz calling it premature. Zelensky's search for new allies. As traditional Western support appears to waver, Zelensky has embarked on a diplomatic tour of Middle Eastern nations. Recent visits to the UAE and Turkey highlight his efforts to secure alternative support channels. In Abu Dhabi, Zelensky sought increased prisoners exchange and economic cooperation. Turkey discussions focused on potential security guarantees and reconstruction support, and also new bilateral trade agreements and investment councils are being established. The Riyadh talks represent a significant shift in the diplomatic landscape surrounding the Ukraine conflict, with the US and Russia engaging in direct negotiations and Europe struggling to maintain unity. The war appears to be entering a new phase. The exclusion of Ukraine from these talks raises serious questions about the future of any peace settlement. While the US-Russia dialogue may pave the way of ending the conflict, the absence of key stakeholders could complicate implementation of any agreements reached. For European leaders, these moments represent a crucial test of their collective security architecture. The apparent sidelining of European interests in the Riyadh talks has exposed the limitations of European influence in shaping the continent's security's future. Looking ahead, and as negotiations progress, several key questions remain. Will Ukraine accept a peace deal negotiated without its direct participation? Can Europe overcome internal divisions to represent a unified position? What role will Middle Eastern nations play in facilitating future dialogue? And how will territorial concessions and security guarantees be structured? The coming weeks will be crucial in determining whether these talks mark the beginning of a genuine peace process or another false dawn in this protracted conflict. Thank you so much for staying with us, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.